He talked about the need for each person. Your gift is needed out there. The special sauce that you bring to your community and to your clients. You know what? Even if you're not a global brand, it does not diminish the value that you have to offer to the world, to your world, to the people that you will connect to just by using your gifts. Hi, podcast listeners. Welcome to Mind Your Own Business. I hope you enjoy the honest business advice and personal stories of mistakes and magic. I'm Sue Stiles, your host and business expert, and I am here to share hope and practical and proven tactics to build your business. Hey, all the steps to success and twice the grit. Visit me for business resources, advice, and offers at SueStiles.com. And now back to the show. Hello, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. Hey, if the business is you, then this podcast is for you. And I'm the host, Sue Stiles. And today, very different than all of my past episodes, I am not interviewing somebody, but I am going to share with you a lot of my takeaways and really what the three top points that I want to share about marketing that I think will really help you in your business, as I know they've helped me and my clients. More than ever, I think right now we live in a time that it's easier to become popular, to become well known because of social media and such a low barrier to entry. We don't have to pay to be on the radio anymore. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars to put an ad in your local newspaper. Although with a low barrier level, it means everybody can do it. So how do you do it well? Well, this season, my fifth season of Mind Your Own Business, I have interviewed people to ask them specifically about marketing for the entrepreneur. And if you have followed along, thank you for listening. I want to give a little recap of what my interviews with my guests have meant to me, and I'm sure you'll take away something else. And if you haven't listened, please feel free to go back. But starting in season 5, that started episode number 33, and that was with Jane Atkinson. She is an expert in the speaking business and has coached. If you know anybody that's a great speaker, they've probably gone through coaching with Jane Atkinson. And the big thing that she always talks about, it never gets old because it's always true, is about picking your lane and focusing hard. What is the category? Who are the people that you want to talk to and who do you focus with? But it has to start with you. So I think first, if you're starting a business or if you don't feel that excellent or like you're excelling in your marketing, ask yourself, look, just let's get to the basic point. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What is it that you want to share? What is the core about your gift that you want to give the world? What do you offer? Do you want to give people a massage? Do you want to talk to people about financial wellness? Do you want to sell meat? Do you want to sell houses? Do you want to give people mortgages? Do you want to sell meditation sessions? This is the thing. You just go ahead, ask yourself, what is it that I want to do really? Because you have to get that off your head. And I talk in the podcast a little bit about Jane's influence on my first website. When I first decided, okay, I want to share. I want to speak to groups of people. I want to tell them something that they need to know. I want to share a story and help share something that will improve your life. Okay, that's all about me. And when I did my first website, and bless my brother, who was a website designer at that time, guess who got rooked into building my first website? Thank you, Steve. But my first website, it was all about me. And when I hired Jane, one of the things that she did was she went and looked on my website and was able to immediately tell me, Sue, I don't know who you're going to benefit. all you're talking about is what you want to do. And the thing is, until you get that out of your mind, down on the paper, I had to put it on a website to see it in front of me. It was really impossible for me to go forward and discover, okay, who is this information really helpful for? Because back when I first started talking, to be honest, I had come out of a divorce and bankruptcy. If you know me at all, you know my story. And I thought I would start speaking with that and encourage others who were going through hard times. But as I began getting out of myself and asking my consumer, what do they need? What do they want? I found myself really surrounded by entrepreneurs. And I knew how to run a great business. I had been helping high level entrepreneurs do that for years. So I changed what I was talking about. I still use a gift of speaking, um, and I don't want to call it performing, but I'm okay to use my loud voice. I'm okay to put on some shoes and stand on a stage, and I'm okay to embrace the audience and say, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" So what I'm talking about doesn't just have to be what I want to talk about. I want to share something that's meaningful for them. But I had to get outside my own head. And Jane helped me do that and discover, who is it that needs your help? Who can you speak to? And also, hey, who wants to pay for the gift that you have? Because you can do a lot of things for free. You can do your gifts for free, on and on. Some people will just enjoy having a hobby and using your gift as a hobby. And you might never, want to get paid for it. But I mean, in my situation, I had to earn an income. So who can pay for the gift that you have? And then once you get your feet in those boots, then you start to evolve and then you try your best. And I really always get a lot from Jane when I listen to her speak. I know you will too if you haven't listened to that episode. My next guest, which I was just thrilled to have on. And thank you to number 34, who was Terry O'Reilly, Canada's marketing guru, with his own amazing podcast, Under the Influence, which millions of listeners tune into every week. But when I met Terry a few years ago, he was at a conference and he was selling this book. This I know, Terry O'Reilly, Marketing Lessons from Under the Influence. So if you're on YouTube or watching this video on Spotify, you can see Terry's book here. If I were to flip through the pages, you would just see how dog-eared they are and so many underlines, because everything that Terry has to say from his years of experience in all different kinds of markets and trying different things, there's just so much wisdom that comes out. And one thing I really took away from Terry's broadcast was to tell the story that matters from an authentic heart, from your real heart, from who you are. And story, again, story and story. And even when he shares his marketing genius, he tells it in a story, so he's really easy to listen to. But one of the first questions that he always starts with his clients and in his book, if you haven't read that book, Marketing Lessons from Under the Influence, please go out and buy it. And listen, I'm not sponsored by it. It's just a genuine referral. But what he asks, and I'll challenge you to ask yourself, is what business are you really in? What business are you really in? Because you're probably not really in the business of when he did a campaign for tires, it wasn't about selling tires. It was about being in the business of safety so that you were safe on the roads. And I'll tell you, when you have winter roads like Calgary, Alberta, you need to have safe tires. So it's a really good question. And I'll tell you, it stumped me for a long time. I don't know, what business am I really in? I know I just want to, give someone information for somebody that wants to learn. And as you listen to him, you can just take notes and go through the process of walking out, what business are you really in? Coming up with answers, asking your clients, and you'll dig down to the core of what you really help people with. I find him very high-minded. I find his books amazing, and I listen to his podcast. So that's one of the podcasts that I will enjoy listening to myself when I'm driving around under the influence. Not to send you away from my podcast, but I do love his and the inspiration that he serves up. I mean, he just serves it to you on a silver platter. Do you do that for your people? Just give it to them without them even having to dig and ask. After that interview with Terry, and after I reread and went through that book again, I came away with just being so inspired. I wrote out a whole commercial for my business that just flowed out of the information that he had shared. And I'm sure that you'll have something like that if you'll listen to that episode. And hopefully, from all of these podcasts, when I started at episode number 1, we focused on the hindsight that entrepreneurs had received over the years. What have you learned? What has been the best way you have gotten clients? And I get their stories, but it's only in these last few episodes when I've become a lot more interested in the marketing that I realized I haven't found much great marketing info out there for the entrepreneur. I mean, if you're in the business and that business is you, and you don't have the big budget to hire an expert advertising agency, where do you find your wisdom? So I hope this will be one of the places. Okay, the next episode that I filmed was with Megan GoLightly from Go Simplified. She is a professional organizer. So your office, your home, I mean, she just loves to take people's chaos and mess and organize them so that you can live and get something out of them. And the one thing that really hit me was that she said, clutter is just unmade decisions. That's a key over and above being organized in your home. The clutter that's in our minds from running a business, the clutter of all of your ideas strewn around on various note papers or various files in your computer, the clutter of brilliant ideas that swim around in your head, and it just becomes sometimes paralysis by analysis. What do you do with all of this clutter? And she just walks through the practical tips and the lessons of organization, and as you listen to her, you can apply them to your own business, being able to make a decision, being able to say goodbye to something that doesn't serve you anymore. It's okay. And you know what, if you make a mistake, I mean, welcome to being the owner of your own business. It's about making mistakes and learning from them and failing forward, as they say. Now, the benefit of having Megan on my podcast and listening to her, after I film them, I do always listen to them again as I'm driving around. So I really try to suck the life that is in them. And is it the irony that these last couple of weeks I have done some brilliant organizing in my own home? I don't think so. My back cloakroom is beautifully organized. My pantry is wonderfully organized, although I won't take all the credit because I don't love doing that. But I discovered that my youngest daughter is quite a talented organizer. So we tackled these things together. So don't be surprised if you feel like organizing your shoes after listening to Megan's podcast. The next guest that I had on was Juliana Lowen. She's episode number 36. And she's an Instagram influencer. I mean, so is Megan GoLightly. I mean, so is Terry O'Reilly, right? All these people have big followings. But Juliana specifically targets more of a lifestyle brand. And what I really took away from her was that in this current economy, being a digital influencer, being modern like that has a place. This is a brand new career, so to speak. Just sharing your travels, just sharing your fashion online, and it's not on a TV broadcast station, it's on your broadcast station from your own, office or home computer. This is a new thing. And so it's important, there's that, what's that word called? It's true, it's funny, but it's true. after years of business, here I'm sitting 20 years into the entrepreneur world. I feel like maybe I know a few things, but the technology is brand new. And so just when your business is getting good and you know something, you can't rest in your laurels and forget about learning the new technology or the new marketing things that are going on, because the medium is a message. The medium still is a message. So if you're not on Instagram, what does that say about your brand? Are you, you know, unwilling to learn? So the medium is the message. You've got to stay up with technology. And yet, although she is all digital, one of her greatest forms of building business is through networking personally. And she found a great networking group that suits her culture, that she fits into, that she found like-minded people at. So there's I don't think we can ever get rid of the best way for marketing, word of mouth, knowing people who will refer you. And if I forget to say that later, I'm saying it now. Best form of marketing when the business is you and you are an entrepreneur, especially if you're local. I mean, that's even better and easier to establish your brand, but it's word of mouth. It's your job to get to know people and stay in touch with people so that they can work with you and refer you. So the next episode was Chris Labosier. I call him Chris the Boss. And he is the developer of Rello, which I am getting on board with in a big way now. So I'm very excited about that. But he has 20 years of online training and e-learning behind him. He has a great story, which most of us entrepreneurs have, where we have an experience and maybe there's no justice in it, or we see that there's a need in the market, there's a gap that the big corps, the politics, the governments aren't doing this thing, and we have an opportunity to listen to the calling and say, yes, I will be the one to make this right. And that's what happened to him when he was becoming a pilot and taking the pilot exams, which needed some help. And so he was the one to go and help some online training, which has brought him all the way here 20 years later to helping the real estate licensing course. First time in Canada, here in Alberta, it's opened up to other providers. And that's the heart of course, my mission too, is to be able to help the training and the learning of the real estate professionals. So he was a great interview, bringing all of his wisdom and experience he wasn't always an entrepreneur. So working in big corporate, big companies, taking on big leadership responsibilities. And one of the things that he did remind me of, and I hope remind all of you too, is sometimes we need to be more skeptical of our business, of our marketing, of how we're spending our time. Often great entrepreneurs, we're full of optimism, and we'll just fight right through to get to the other side. But there is a place to let some skepticism come in and really evaluate what a new idea is amongst ourselves. If we have people that we can talk to, invite them in to speak into what we are doing. And one of the books that he mentioned, and I mean, he's in $1 million business right now, so I do respect his opinion on money. And one of the books that he recommended is Snowball. I'll hold it up here. Warren Buffett and the Business of Life. Now, when Chris recommended reading Snowball, I was not aware that it is, oh my goodness, thousands and thousands of pages, upwards of 700 pages. But I am going to read that. I'll tell you, I'm going to take a few months and sink my teeth into that and hopefully come away with some of the wisdom and practicality that Chris has come away with. Then I interviewed Matt Scarry. No, he is not scary at all, but he's one of the few people that actually came from a marketing background, a schooling, an education, an academia background when it comes to having his business degree of commerce and marketing. And also, he did marketing all over the globe. in Texas in the United States, Southeast Asia, the Philippines. So he came with a real global perspective. And one thing I really appreciated is that he talked about the need for each person. Your gift is needed out there. The special sauce that you bring to your community and to your clients. You know what? Even if you're not a global brand, it does not diminish the value that you have to offer to the world, to your world, to the people that you will connect to just by using your gifts. And what he discovered was that, okay, he worked with this a large real estate investment company. They already had the marketing figured out. They knew the formula. And so when they took it to Malaysia, to a different market, and they put their formula into to place, they were stymied. They were surprised that it didn't work. You know what? Because all marketing doesn't work with all clients. And I thought that was a real aha takeaway. Even if you have a good commercial, a good meme, a good ad, a good flyer, a good script that worked with some audiences, it might not work as you expand into other markets. And the core of what we need to do to be able to reach all of our future clients is really to discover what the client is buying, to discover what they want out of the product that you're selling, which again goes back to Terry's insight. What business are you really in? What are your clients buying? What do they need? What do your clients need out of you? And so if you find that new client first, then you can start to discover and ask them, hey, what do you need? Now I'm up to speed now because we're on episode 39. Oh, the same age as me. And I want to share 3 key marketing takeaways. Um, I have, like I said, been very interested in marketing, especially over this last year. I spent a year taking an online marketing director's course. And I guess that was what inspired me to do this 5th season of my podcast, because in the marketing director's course, there really was almost nothing that applied to a solo entrepreneur's business. It was all geared towards big business, corporate, departments of marketing who can experiment with split testing and different audiences and do the research. But I know my clients, when their feet hit the ground, when they're taking the risk to become this entrepreneur and service provider that they hope will pay the bills, put food on the table, that is all up to them. And so, they just need the answer right here and now. They don't have the money. Sometimes they don't feel like they have the time to do all of this research and go through the process. And I get that. And it's a great process to go through, but I know all people aren't going to do it. So here are 3 tips that I want to give to everybody who is running your own business or wanting to run your own business, and take them and apply them to you in your own way. Number 1 is your service to the world, to your clients, is mostly, it's better and better the more you are who you are. The more you can become who you really are, the more power and authenticity you will have in connecting with your audience. And as you are, reaching for your audience, reaching for more clients, I want to really encourage you to act as if you already are the $1 million service provider that you want to be, that you hope that you could be one day. I know when I started a mastermind group many years ago, say 15 years ago, I had a mastermind group for about 5 years. And then I made a Facebook group out of that mastermind group for us. And as I was posting, I struggled with that feeling like, well, this is only going to 10 people. This isn't going to the millions of people that I hope to reach one day. And I know many people have that feeling like, well, this is only my mom's going to see this, only my family and friends are going to like this. And I'm going to encourage you to get over that, get over yourself, like I had to get over myself, and act as if This is going to the millions of people that you want to serve. This is going to important people. And if the one person who it hits home for, if it changes their life, then you've made an impact. It's not about quantity, it's about the quality. And so make sure that you are the best of who you can become. Bloom right where you're planted. I know I told a story last year at my women's retreat at beautiful Sparkling Hill Resort. Oh, it's such a beautiful resort. If you've never been there, highly encourage you. But I told the story of I was having a walk one day and I saw on this path a ditch, and it was, just overgrown with bushes and grass. But out of this ditch were growing these irises. Two irises were just growing there. And I stopped in the path and I looked around. I thought, where did these irises come from? I didn't see a house with irises in the garden at all. And it was a mystery. But when I think of those irises growing, I'm sure they didn't start growing up the stalks and then looking around, and saying to each other, oh, where are we here? This is terrible. We're in a big ditch. Oh, this is awful. I'm not going to bloom here. No, I'm going to wait until I'm in a beautiful garden. I could imagine. No, irises are not saying that. They aren't waiting to be in a beautiful garden at the Queen's palace. They bloomed right where they landed. And the irony is, right where they land is where I stopped to admire them. Just like people will stop to admire you and the beauty that comes out of your authenticity and your passion and your desire to serve in your own unique way. And there's a saying that when the flower blooms, the bees come uninvited. Ah, just bloom, and you'll see that the bees come uninvited. Now, I will admit, I have felt in my own business, well, where are all these bees? I'm trying to bloom here, but where are the bees? And if you're at that place, it's your job to keep directing your blooms where some bees might get a whiff of what you're putting out there. I know I lamented to my own executive business coach one year, Keith Hanna was gracious enough. He's on one of my episodes. And I said, Keith, where are all the people? Where are all the people? Where's the hub of entrepreneurs? I can't find them. And I wanted him to give me the answer. But what he gave me was a recommendation for the third book that I'll recommend for you today. You can see it there on my screen, is The Formula by Albert Laszlo Barabasi. And it was just a brilliant book, the science behind why people succeed or fail. And he talks to that element around, being first to market and having people find you. And so if you feel like you are not getting your customers, like you're not finding them, and you're blooming, listen, let me put that back in your lap. It is up to you to find the answers. Keep looking, keep trying something. You will stumble upon it, you will find it, but it's up to you to take those steps. Okay, now point number two. Point number two I wanted to make was that once you get your recipe down, once you have discovered who you are, what you love to do, the customers that you serve, once you've got that recipe right, then it's time to expand. How can you expand and offer more of what you have in other products or services, or offer it to other audiences? And think about who you could ask for help. Now is the time you need to put money on some experts who can help guide you and direct you. Put some money behind yourself. Listen, you need to, at some point in your career, make that painful connection between I'm going to pay money for this expert to come and help me, and you are going to make sure that you get that $1,000 help that you need. No matter what the expert says to you, you'll make sure. Once you begin getting some traction, getting some inertia, you've got to keep creating it. You've got to keep moving. You've got to keep making decisions. And maybe there's somebody who could help you leverage. Maybe you have a client that's a leader in a community that could help you get out there. This is the part where you need to expand. Now, I'm not going to tell the Tabasco story in this podcast as I tell it in many, many places. But the third time that my husband and I were lucky enough to visit Avery Island in Louisiana, where they make Tabasco brand pepper sauce, the one place in the whole world, we discovered something new this last time that we went. Yes, they had the recipe right. Yes, they have a great store, so they sell lots of products. But the third thing that they did is what I'm asking all of you to do is they said, what else do our customers want from us? Well, after you've been walking around the Tabasco museum and shop for a while, guess what? The customers are hungry. We're hungry. We want some food. We want to eat and taste some Tabasco. And thank you to the McElhaney family for implementing a restaurant on location on Avery Island. So now when we went back, we were thrilled. They had a whole restaurant where you could order alligator balls and pulled pork and all these great Southern foods. But the thing I loved the most was that they offered what I'll call a Caesar bar, a Bloody Mary bar. They offered this beautiful Tabasco bar where you could fill up your cup with clamato juice or tomato juice and make it as spicy as you want and put the fixings if you want. It thrilled me as a customer. And when I came home a few years ago, I told everyone about it. Everywhere I spoke, I talked about this wonderful Caesar bar. That is how you want people to talk about you. Once they've worked with you, that they say, oh my goodness, everybody, they take a picture, they share it on social media. This is my experience, and you need to come and experience this as well. So that is number 2, is expand and ask your customers what they want. And then the third thing I want to touch on is, like I did touch with Juliana's message, is to stay up with technology. We're all getting older. And as we get older, we get wiser, hopefully. And as we get older, we build a better business. But, the world favors the youth, so they say. I mean, I just had my birthday. I'm a Halloween baby. I just turned 56, and I am not embarrassed to share that. And I will look my age and happy to have the wrinkles. I earned every single one of them. Thank you very much. But as our business expands and increases, we can't stay stuck in our generation of what was comfortable for us. We need to combine. Yes, I have to learn TikTok. Just the other day, if you're following me on social media, you probably saw me dance with my grandson because that's what he loved to do. Now, we were just authentically having fun, as we were together one afternoon, but you get to know the technology. You've got to expand and grow and become more modern, so that you can reach your customers in a new way, so that you can reach that chord and touch that chord, constantly evolving your message and the way that you share your message will hit people in different ways. And what you're waiting for is until it hits a nerve, until you strike a chord in your audience. You don't want to be there's a whole category, isn't there, in music called the one-hit wonders. There's a whole category. There's so many that just get one hit and that's it. That's their wonder. Oh, I ran so far away. We all know our favorite one-hit wonders. That's probably mine. But it's your job to be consistent, to keep putting out those songs. Well, we had one song that worked well. Now what? What's the next song that people are going to like? What are you singing today? What are you singing tomorrow? So it's your job to be consistently, I guess, creating the songs, creating your messages, creating your products, expanding your customer base. This is the job of the entrepreneur. And if you're passionate about it, I think that's just about the only thing that will keep you going, is you have to be passionate for what you're doing, because only through the passion will you embrace the suffering also that comes with it. It's hard to learn new technology. And as we get older, it's true, we still want to stay comfortable. So you've got to keep that passion up. You've got to suffer through it so that you can give your brilliance to the world, so that you can give your brilliance, to your industry. And along the way, as I have iterated, as you have iterated, everyone will try something new. I don't know if you watch TV, that old-fashioned thing, or if you're just streaming, but once in a while, I turn on the tube, and I was watching The Voice this week, and Gwen Stefani had 3 young girls on her team. And so they were all new to the industry, but great, obviously, singing voices. And she had them up there and they were trying out different songs, to match with their voices. Well, because they're so young, they have to take their opportunity on The Voice to try out the songs. They haven't had the years playing gigs and trying different things to reach that level yet. They're just starting out. And this is where Gwen, an experienced singer, will help them to hopefully pick songs that match with them. But they have to do the work. They have to feel the song inside of them. They have to try on their brand before they can see if it resonates with the world. And you can see the result if you just look at Gwen Stefani right now. I mean, she's taken those years of experimenting. She's sang all different kinds of songs. She's dressed in different ways. She's at a level where she knows what works for her. She knows what her audience and her customers want from her. I mean, now she's on The Voice, so she's not a stranger anymore. She doesn't set herself up just as a high level celebrity that you can't touch. You can't touch this. Yeah, you can get to know Gwen by watching her on The Voice, by following her on Twitter or Instagram. So, she's iterated as well. But I guess what I'm trying to say, I hope that what you're hearing is you can't get to that expert level like you've been running a business for 20 years, unless you've been running a business for 20 years. You can't get to that level from day one. So your job at day one is that you've got to keep putting out as much as you can and grow as quickly as you can. You are not a big brand or global company that has, probably taken out a loan for the marketing team. You are an entrepreneur. You are probably bootstrapped. If you spend $100 on boosting your ads, that might be $100 that's off the table giving food to your family. And that is something I can relate to, and that is something I get. And I guess that's why I have a heart so strongly for solo entrepreneurs. I want you to succeed in whatever gift that you have to share with the world. And I hope, I guess I'll wrap it up here just saying that I hope that what you have heard on my podcast gives you some tools and gives you some ideas of things to hit the ground running, to try something new, to put your processes into place, to get better with your marketing. And if anything, I'm here to encourage the entrepreneur, keep going in whatever idea that you have. Don't give up too soon. It's okay to shift. It's definitely okay to pivot, but keep going and get that help along the way that you need. And now at episode number 39, I'm going to wrap this up, and I invite you to visit my website. I invite you to connect with me on social media. I really want to get to know your businesses. And I try to be pretty good at staying in touch and liking people back and managing my DMs. So thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. And I wish the best for you, which, as I always say, is that you will get your maximized results. Please follow and review if you enjoy these podcasts, and then visit me at SueStyles.com.